Wealth is commonly treated as a single scale. More money means more wealth. Less money means less wealth. This framing is convenient, but it is incorrect. Wealth does not increase smoothly. It changes categorically. Most people believe they are moving along one ladder. In reality, they are trapped within a single level, optimizing inside boundaries they do not see. What separates the wealthy from the non-wealthy is not effort, intelligence, or discipline. It is which layer of the system they are allowed to operate in. Wealth is stratified, and movement between strata is neither linear nor merit-based. Think of wealth not as money but as distance from necessity. At lower levels, money is required to survive. At higher levels, money is used to control outcomes. And at the highest levels, money becomes almost irrelevant. Each level of wealth corresponds to a different relationship with constraint. At the bottom, money reacts to reality. In the middle, money negotiates with reality. At the top, money shapes reality. The mistake is assuming these are differences of quantity. They are differences of function. Each level obeys different incentives. Each level rewards different behaviors. And actions that work at one level often fail catastrophically at another. The first level of wealth is income-bound. Money here is tied directly to time. You exchange labor for compensation. If labor stops, money stops. This level dominates public discussion because it includes the majority of people. It is where budgeting, saving, and discipline are emphasized. But structurally, this level is defined by fragility. Income wealth is consumed by housing, transportation, food, debt, servicing, risk mitigation. At this level, money's primary function is damage control. Unexpected expenses create instability. Time off creates anxiety. Mistakes are punished immediately. Psychologically, this produces short-term thinking. Not because people lack intelligence, but because the system penalizes long horizons. At this level, wealth does not compound. It resets every month. This is not a moral failure. It is a structural condition. The second level of wealth begins when money is no longer entirely reactive. Here, income is partially decoupled from time. Assets produce returns. Ownership replaces labor as the primary driver of growth, but this level is often misunderstood as freedom. It is not. Asset wealth introduces seeing optionality, not immunity. Assets allow individuals to defer consumption, absorb volatility, choose timing. This creates the illusion of control. In reality, asset holders are still deeply constrained by systems they do not control. Markets, regulation, credit cycles, platform dependencies. At this level, intelligence becomes more visible. So does strategy, but power remains limited. Asset wealth improves outcomes within existing structures. It does not alter the structures themselves. This is why asset-rich individuals can still be wiped out by systemic shifts. They benefit from the game, but they do not write the rules. The third level of wealth is rarely discussed because it does not resemble wealth in the conventional sense. Here, money is no longer the primary asset. Position is. Structural wealth exists when an individual or entity controls access, distribution, standards, enforcement. At this level, assets are downstream. Revenue is a consequence, not a goal. Structural wealth allows its holders to externalize risk, internalize upside, redefine success metrics. This is where platforms outperform producers, gatekeepers outperform experts, coordinators outperform creators. Intelligence matters less here. Because leverage replaces cognition, the system does the work. Those at this level do not optimize within constraints. They decide which constraints apply. Most people believe wealth differences are about magnitude. They are not. They are about function. Each level of wealth changes: how time is valued, how risk is allocated, how failure is interpreted. This is why advice fails across classes. What preserves stability at one level creates stagnation at another. Status tracks these levels more accurately than income. Those with structural wealth receive deference even without visible money. Those without it remain exposed regardless of earnings. Wealth is not what you have. It is which level you are permitted to operate on. If wealth were only about accumulation, movement between levels would be common. It is not. Most people remain in the same wealth layer for life, even when their income increases, even when their intelligence is high. This persistence is often blamed on behavior. The real explanation is structural. Each level of wealth is protected by filters. These filters are invisible to those below them. Wealth levels are maintained by incentives, not barriers. Formal barriers attract resistance. Incentives shape behavior quietly. Each level of wealth encourages behaviors that preserve the level, discourage transition. Justify the outcome. Those inside a level rarely see its limits. Those outside rarely see its rules. Movement requires not just capital, but misalignment with one's current incentives. That is rare. At the income level, the dominant belief is fairness. Effort should be rewarded. Stability is virtuous. This belief keeps people compliant. At the asset level, the dominant belief is optimization. Better decisions produce better outcomes. Risk is manageable. This belief keeps people invested. At the structural level, belief becomes irrelevant. Only continuity matters. These belief systems are not accidental. They are adaptive. They reduce friction within each layer. They discourage behavior that would destabilize it. People rarely exit a level because doing so would require rejecting the beliefs that made survival possible within it. Lower levels of wealth are highly visible. Income is documented. Assets are reported. Performance is evaluated. Structural wealth is opaque. It hides behind legal frameworks, institutional norms, complexity. This opacity protects it. Those without structural wealth are taught to seek transparency. Those with it understand that transparency erodes control. As a result, aspiring individuals often focus on visible metrics: salary, net worth, titles. These metrics matter less as wealth increases. The highest level of wealth is not seen. It is felt through outcomes. Systems are optimized for stability, not mobility. Cross-level movement introduces unpredictability. Unpredictability increases risk, so systems subtly resist it. They do so by requiring credentials that signal conformity, rewarding behaviors aligned with existing incentives, penalizing deviations framed as irresponsibility. This is why those who cross levels are often labeled anomalies. Not because they are exceptional, but because they are destabilizing. Systems tolerate exceptions, they do not encourage them. Understanding levels of wealth reframes inequality. It is not primarily about effort. It is not primarily about intelligence. It is about placement within structures. Status follows this logic more reliably than money. Those with structural relevance are protected even when they fail. Those without it are punished even when they succeed. Wealth does not rise smoothly. It jumps when function changes. Most people are not poor because they lack resources. They are constrained because they are operating inside a level whose rules they did not design. Wealth is not something you accumulate. It is something you are positioned inside. And levels exist to keep their occupants where they are.